Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sound Dialogues. This is a project that I created. My name is Tetiana Lesyk, and I created it for teachers of English and learners of English. I have guests here who are both educators in English language and also the users of English, and we are discussing here how we got to where we are with our English. So we show you that we are all human beings. We also make mistakes, and we also have our great days. We have fun while teaching or studying English, and that things are not as bad and scary as they are. And we pay special attention to the language learning and pronunciation learning too. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And please welcome my guest. This is Ina Piankovska, and she will introduce herself at least a little.
Hi everyone, my name is Ina Piankovska, and I've been teaching English for so many years that sometimes it scares me. However, I'm also an English learner, and I started learning English way back in the 90s when I was in the fifth grade, and since then my fascination with English has been ongoing. I also have experience of teaching English in many different contexts. Used to be a university instructor, but 5 years ago I embarked on a solo teacherpreneur journey, and since then I've been honored to have met so many wonderful colleagues and professionals who also make a difference in our sphere, like Tetiana Lesyk being one of them. Um, yeah, and I'm happy to share any other details of this learning and teaching journey today with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ina. What a lovely introduction. Could you tell us a little bit more about what particularly you specialize in? Like I teach British English pronunciation and also business English because I used to be, if some of you don't know that yet, I used to be a banker. I've spent 11 years working for a bank, for a Dutch bank, so everything was like a lot of stuff was in English. And I also used to be an entrepreneur. I am now interpreter and a translator. So I've done loads of things. What do you specialize in?
Well, the thing is that when I just started being
We have time
self-employed.
for everything.
Oh yeah, right. I actually hoped to find a more specific niche, but today I deal with teaching general English most of the time. I work with groups predominantly, but somehow I see that people who require or ask for my service are teacher learners themselves. So I work with a lot of colleagues. I prefer working with higher levels, and most of my students are teacher learners as well. However, I have a few, like A2, B1 students because I like having multiple perspectives on the learning process, and it differs on different levels. So in order not to lose this multitude of perspectives, I like to work with different levels as well.
Cool, cool. I also work with higher levels. I don't work with lower levels, but sometimes I do get people that come to my pronunciation course at lower than I take level. Maybe it's a little difficult for them. On the other hand, I really love it when people are already, starting learning a language and they understand the need for pronunciation from the very beginning because it gives you just, so much more space to work further on. Do you, well, I would like to draw your attention, viewers, our dear viewers. Please listen up to Ina's vocabulary, and I'm sure you will find a lot of interesting phrasal verbs, phrases, and other very useful stuff because Ina specializes also in.
Lexical approach. Hello.
Yes, yes. So,
uh, mhm. Well,
and
a few words perhaps.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, all right, all right. I was expecting a question, perhaps. So,
There will be
well,
one after we
okay,
the
cool.
lexical approach.
Well, the thing is that like 5 years ago, I got this immersion into the concept of lexical approach because I attended a few events, conferences, and workshops by Hugh Della and Andrew Walkley, who came to Ukraine and presented, you know, the ideas of this approach, and like they appeal to me a lot. The thing is that I believe that like even though you haven't heard of this, which is not the case, I guess, in today's ELT community, you must have heard of it. But even if you don't consider yourself to be an active user of lexical approach and you only start dealing with it, you will understand that you've already been using bits and pieces of it anyway, because it's inevitable. And a lot of principles of lexical approach, they go hand in hand with many other principles of kind of language learning and language acquisition. So even if you studied something or on any level when it comes to, teaching basics, so like something about lexical approach, and like for me, principles of this approach, they reflect my values when it comes to language learning and teaching and just your relationship with language on the whole, because maybe this is why, let's say, I decided to become a teacher after all. uh, since the very first day I started learning English, I've been fascinated with the idea of, decoding or unveiling the mystery of a foreign language. And this idea is still with me. I've been fascinated by this idea for years, and it keeps driving me. So whenever I have to deal with the situation when I need to sort of motivate a person to learn English, or to understand that they are motivated by some other practical reasons because they need it like for work, or like for an interview or for something else. Like honestly, this idea isn't 100% comprehensible to me, because I've been learning English all my life and I used to teach English for many years to English major students. And we were doing this for the sake of language itself. And this idea inspires me because like I want to discover as much as I can. I want to understand as much as I can. And like I don't need other practical means for improving, practical let's say reasons or causes like for improving my English, apart from feeling more at ease with everything it has to offer. So that is why lexical approach like is about this as well. It's about understanding all the intricacies, all the connections between words, ideas, concepts, associations, and that is why it felt very very native to my, linguistic mindset when I just got to know it.
I understand you totally. Usually, what students have in mind when they are searching for someone for a course or for a teacher when they want to improve their English, they go for grammar quite often and vocabulary. Yeah. So these are like the primary things that we have in mind. Without words, we wouldn't be able to communicate. So understanding the words, quite often their etymology, quite often the history and the culture behind them, which opens up the whole world to us. Yeah, and I should add that pronunciation is actually everywhere in all those spheres. As much as we're trying to avoid pronunciation, I know that people are just afraid of it because we never usually get taught. If you're lucky enough to have a good ear for pronunciation and just catch the accent or catch the basics, yeah, then you're good. Then the more you are surrounded by the native speakers, or surround yourself by the language, then you are easily picking it up. But if not, then you really should be paying a little bit more attention to it. Have you ever tried? Oh, one more thing before we move on to the next question. I wanted to also say that ask you, are you active in creating any kinds of particular materials that could be interesting for our viewers and teachers as well, and learners of English?
Materials.
Yes.
Okay. Well, from
Less.
time to time. Okay, well, I wish I could be doing this more, because like I have some ideas, but I don't always have enough consistency and discipline to put this idea into practice. Like I have a webinar on Lexical Approach that I did a few years ago, but I believe like if you're just a beginner, like in this approach, if you only want to like learn the ropes a little bit, so this webinar could be something that you know, be of use and you could benefit. I mean, you meaning teachers who who only begin this journey.
Yeah.
Um, on the other hand, like I'm more consistent when it comes to creating materials for ESL Brains platform, because like I'm one of materials authors there, together
Mhm.
with other wonderful authors as well. And I've for some time I've also been one of the reviewers there. So like you know, if you use our like wonderful lessons, so obviously you could enjoy the structure, you know, the flow, and like all of it comes from the fact that it's not just like one person like who produces. Obviously, one person produces the main idea, but there are other colleagues like who work on perfecting and making this the best version of this lesson possible, as it were.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, and perhaps a bit later or in the description or whatever, so I could offer you a way to get a discount if you haven't subscribed to this platform
Oh,
yet.
cool. Yes, so this is what I was going to say. I will leave the details in the description to this video, so keep watching and then read the description to get a good discount from an ESL author. Okay, have you ever tried or had any troubles when you spoke or tried to understand English? If you can remember or think of any funny or embarrassing moments, maybe it wasn't with you or with somebody else, if you ever had or witnessed.
Well, I don't think that something in particular comes to mind. Is that, you know, like I've had just some, like a few embarrassing moments when it comes to maybe mispronunciation of some words, but it's not that it was something embarrassing, but, you know, it's a bit of a lesson that could serve. I mean, that could be a case in point for the idea that mistakes aren't always that bad, and it's okay to make them because the emotional effect they have at a specific moment when you make them can help you prevent them in the future.
Mhm.
So, and once I was like, and just like I remember situations with two words that, you know, these situations helped me remember how to pronounce these words correctly for the rest of my life. And like one of them was the word canal, you know, is you know, kind of water channel basically, right? And so what happened is that I was making a presentation during one of my, like when I was a student way back at university, and I mispronounced this word, you know, put the wrong stress and said canal or something like that. And then, you know, the teacher was like, "What did you say?" And I repeated, "What dictionary did you use?" Okay, okay, maybe
Oh my
none.
goodness.
So, yeah, and please like open the dictionary because we used to carry around all these huge paper dictionaries like Oxford Advanced Learners around with us. So, and obviously I looked it up and I understood that, you know, the stress wasn't where it should have been. And but since then, you know, I never forgot this.
Mm.
And the same situation was with the word conference. When I used to say conferential.
Oh, well, I'm sure all of us have a word or a couple, or at least, a couple of words
Right,
like
okay.
this. Yeah, with me, with pronunciation and with the correct sound, it was also quite for some time that I was mispronouncing the words front and worry. I used to say them with
Mhm.
the lot vowel sound, front and worry. I don't know, I just liked the way they sounded with this rounded sound, but in fact, it's front with a and worry
Mhm.
with ah. So we're having a small pronunciation lesson today.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah, but pronunciation mistakes can take us into, funny situations, especially when it comes to different length of vowel sounds. Um, But yeah, I agree with you. We all make mistakes. We all are human beings, and quite often, what I also have just now popped in my mind is that quite often we get this internal barrier and fear of speaking, and one of the reasons for that is that at some point in the past, maybe at school or quite often at work as well, we get some toxic people telling them our mistakes in front of other people. Like a colleague is pointing out at a mistake that we mispronounced something, or just something silly, a grammatical mistake, or we said the wrong word, and they do it in front of other people. I've heard so many stories like this, and then it becomes a trauma for a person, and then they are afraid of speaking in public, speaking in front of those particular colleagues. They are afraid of presenting, especially if they work in the front office and they need to make presentations to the clients or negotiations or present at conferences and so on. So beware of the toxic people in your life in general, yes, but especially when it comes to English. And if you do have this fear of speech in public or in particular circles of people, think and analyze. Maybe you had a comment like this that didn't seem too much at the time, but in fact hurt you that deeply that it turned into a trauma that now results in your inability to actually use the language that you really know, yeah, to a certain extent. Um, what about pronunciation? How important do you think it is for English teachers and for English learners?
Well, it's a very good question. And the thing is that I believe that, like, regardless of being a teacher or a learner, but pronunciation is a tool that helps us to be understood. So, in the first place, what I've been noticing since I started working with teachers in particular is that a lot of teachers like feel, I can't say ashamed, but they have concerns when it comes to their pronunciation. And very often their concerns have to do with the fact that they don't have this native-like accent. So, so I have, let's say, like I'm trying to develop a more like balanced point of view on this. And I want to actually differentiate between correct pronunciation that helps you to be understood and helps you teach students like to pronounce the sounds in a proper way on the one hand, but still like by doing this, you still preserve some features of the pronunciation of your mother tongue, which is totally fine. However, a lot of teachers find this fact or embarrassing, like either embarrassing or discouraging for themselves. And I think that this shouldn't be this way because we have to be able to draw a line between pronunciation and accent. And like, I don't think personally that like teachers have to like that native like accent is a must. So you can strive for this if you like, but we shouldn't discriminate teachers against the like presence of like a certain accent that points to their origin and like the ethnic origin, I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I believe it's great that you help like teachers to improve their pronunciation, and obviously pronunciation does in like impact the accent as well because the better you pronounce certain sounds, the closer you get to the native like pronunciation. But I don't want to, let's say, for example, I don't want this narrative to be prevailing in non-native ALT communities that the accent is, is the signifier of certain superiority or something like that, if you see what I mean, right? So we have to, like, we have to develop, we have to grow, but, uh, you know, I believe that we have to embrace the diversity on so many levels. And it was this the focus of the conference that took place a few days ago, Super Teacher Summit, where we were talking about like different career paths, different ways to develop professionally, right? And obviously, I also support the idea that teachers, they have to work on their pronunciation, but they shouldn't think like badly of themselves if they feel they don't sound like native speakers. I hope that like I made myself clear on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I will never be tired of saying being a certified phonetician and helping teachers and users of English improve their pronunciation. I will never get tired of saying that the um, mm, the fashion of demanding to sound not less than a native speaker is long gone now. So we shouldn't, there is no need for us to sound exactly and not less than a native speaker. What is required, and this is for the communication purpose, is the intelligibility that people understand us, and whoever speaks with us in English, we should also be able to understand him or her. It's okay if they have a certain accent, but as long as they are understandable, we can figure out what they're saying, because only then the exchange of information will be taken
Exactly.
place. And then it's up to you where you would like to stop. If you still feel that you're not enough in terms of how nice you sound and how you yourself like the way you sound, then keep working. Because pronunciation is a physical thing and it's work with our muscles and muscle memory, and it does take time. And I really don't like when some people are selling their 2 or 3 weeks courses and promise you will sound like a native speaker in 21 days. This is a lie. This is wrong, and this shouldn't be happening. But people keep buying this. But it's okay. I mean, I like working with people who have understanding of how things work, and that you have to put in an effort in order to achieve something good and something quality. So yeah, I absolutely agree that you don't have to sound like a native speaker, and you're free to stop wherever you feel comfortable with your own pronunciation. And I absolutely admire when teachers are coming. I also work with teachers. I love when they come to my courses or individual lessons. It means they like improvement as well. And it's like the CPDs, the continuous professional development. It never ends. Like, come on, look at us. We're always somewhere at conferences, webinars, workshops, online, offline, taking lessons, taking courses, and it just feels like I want more and more. It's next time there is another course for you. And, as long as we feel that we are getting something from it, then it's fine. If you feel you need to stop there and you're fine with your accent, with your pronunciation, that's also fine. So yeah, but there should be, like, if you're a teacher, I think there has to be like the minimum basis where you have to just say things correctly and teach things
That,
correctly. Because
that's the point.
otherwise, yeah,
Yeah.
you will be teaching mistakes, and then it means your students
Mhm.
will also be saying those mistakes. So maybe look at your pronunciation, have it diagnosed, whatever. Yeah, happen to take a diagnostic test. If you have doubts, maybe take a couple of lessons, correct a couple of things, and off you go. So yeah, it shouldn't be pressuring us too much. No, because yeah, it's not fashionable anymore to sound like a native speaker. That's what politicians say.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is that, like, I believe that, like in our ELT world, right? There are a lot of, um, there are a lot of trends that maybe should be like addressed and critically assessed as well. So, and like I like totally agree with you that we have to understand where we have room for improvement and work on that. Work with colleagues who specialize in certain areas like pronunciation when it comes like to your field, or maybe some other areas that you want to use as a stepping stone for the next leap in your career, for example, and it's only too natural. But the thing is that like what I'm standing up like against is that when teachers start discriminating other teachers for certain reasons, and that is why, I mean, like it's not conducive to growing or developing a community, uh, based on similar values, on support, on understanding and embracing our like different values and diversity in our values. So I believe that like we have to be more supportive of each other and more supportive of ourselves, because this is what I often come across when like working with teachers is they start like from the very first interview we have with them, they start, oh, I hate this about my English, hate this about my English, and that, and I'm bad with this and with that. It's like, okay, come on, but you've grown this far, you've reached this far, so like why beat yourself up like so much? Why being so harsh on yourself? Let's look at what you actually have to celebrate somehow. And even during the lessons, some teachers like to start their answers like, it's not much, or it's not like it turned out not as well as I expected, but still I will present this or something like that, And it often has to do with the insecurities they have like based on their view of their language, right? Is that they always like they are used to this dissatisfaction with the language or with some aspects of it. And it's not like very often it's not about the objective reality, but it's about the habit to feel this way.
Mhm.
So it's nice that like when they get, I mean, it's good they have the chance at least to get into the community or in the group, or like make their way into a cause like yours, for example, when they get this support and they understand that like changes are possible. They don't always take uh like so much pain as they expected, right? And the most important thing that they weren't as bad as they thought they were when they joined this cause or community or group or whatever.
This is the trick, I think. Some of us, both users and teachers of English, that I think on the one hand, I agree that this can be insecurities. On the other, I quite often get this, either a individual student or a student that joins the pronunciation course. They go, "Oh, my pronunciation is so bad. I'm so horrible, blah blah blah." And then I get the recording of their diagnostic test, and she's like, singing with C1, and I go like, "What? You were saying you were bad." Like either this was done because she really feels insecure, or she wanted to hear some praise from me, and to hear that, oh no no, your language is great, blah blah. So that's the case, and I quite often get this, that people underestimate their own level, on purpose or not, I don't know. And one more thing I wanted to say was, we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to others. And I'm here again talking about both users of English and teachers of English. We should always be comparing ourselves today to ourselves sometime in the past, because this is the only development that we should be looking and assessing. Otherwise, it's very non-productive, and it will be, I don't know, bringing us to feel really horrible about how we are and how others are. There is always someone who looks like did more than you, or looks like achieved more than you. It's useless comparing yourself to others. Compare yourself to your own achievements, and where you were in the past, 3 months ago, half a year ago.
It feels like you've been reading my today's Instagram stories, because
No,
this is exactly
not
what
yet.
you know I posted. I mean, it's like the one of the messages I wanted to actually present today by reflecting on the conference. Okay.
Yeah, but this is true. This is the truth of life. We should only be comparing ourselves now with us in the past. This is the only thing we should be looking at. Everything else is unproductive. A couple of final questions to our chat today. Um,
Yay.
if you can think of any recommendations to our viewers, if somebody's facing difficulties, when speaking English in general, when presenting in English, when speaking publicly in English, using it for work, any recommendations to get over this fear of speech or maybe the insecurities? A couple of tips, if possible.
Sure. Well, the thing is that like I believe that what people like tend to overestimate is the idea that there's a particular method or strategy that can lead to success. And what people
Like
tend
this,
to
and quickly,
underestimate,
yeah?
yeah, it's like there's something. I just need to find it. I just need to find it,
So
and then
I'll take this pill and I'll be speaking like a native
yeah,
speaker.
exactly. And the thing is that like this is something like I get like trapped in sometimes as well because for some reason this kind of magical thinking can still get the better of you, and then you can sort of slide into this you know like I wouldn't call this a swamp, but this sort of thing that because it sort of like quicksand, right? It kind of drags you to absolutely non-constructive like actions or kind of thinking, and then it's really hard to resist because then you can't find this perfect method. You can't find what actually can work for you like this, and you find yourself trapped and you can't get out of this, so you feel sort of like overwhelmed literally like by all this like panic and this feeling of like being not enough, not knowing enough, and things like that.
Mhm.
So like, and whenever my students ask me for tips like that, so like, and what they have learned, especially those who have been with me for quite a while, is the power and the value of consistency. So practice and consistency, consistency and practice, and like these these two things, they work wonders in the
Mhm.
long run.
Yeah. Practice
Obviously,
makes perfect, yeah.
perfect. But you know
It's
what?
also
Like I
about
really like a
pronunciation.
different iteration of this. Sorry?
It's also about pronunciation. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, any
Consistency,
skill.
regularity, and just hard work. I'm sorry, but people are afraid of hard work. But um,
Okay, well, yeah, so it could be as hard as you like, but
yeah,
if there's no consistency, nothing happens. I mean, so it's just, like this the science behind adopting new habits, right? So, like when your brain understands something well and feels comfortable in something, this is the result of something being or becoming or having become your habitual action, right? What is familiar doesn't scare you, right? So, if pronunciation scares you, if new vocabulary scares you, the only answer to this is you haven't spent enough time with this. You haven't made this comfortable environment for you. It's not familiar environment for you yet. So you need, instead of avoiding it, you need to take a plunge. You need to spend more time with it.
I recently watched a short video. I don't remember what kind of animal it was about. Some kind of bulls. I don't remember what type of bulls, some
Mhm.
African animals. And the guy was telling that scientists have been watching their behavior before the thunderstorms, and they said that they noticed that the bulls, instead of running away from the storm, they were heading towards the storm, which meant that they crossed the storm within a much shorter period, and they actually, well, didn't get that wet, didn't get, I don't know, flown away by the wind, blah blah blah, so didn't get as many heavy consequences by meeting up with this storm as they would have had they not faced it. So if they started running away from it and the storm would follow them, they would be staying much longer inside the storm. And obviously, they would have the circumstances much worse for them. So facing the trouble gives you, being not afraid to face the trouble or some difficult times or a trial that you may be facing in your life, will make it shorter for you, the suffering or the experience that you will gain if you are not afraid to face it. So same with vocabulary, lexical approach, pronunciation. The sooner you start working on it, and it doesn't mean that you have to devote 24 hours a day to it. Just, a small step at a time. Give it a try, learn one phrase, read one paragraph, in the evening, practice one sentence, pronouncing, do the shadowing technique at night before going to bed. Check it with your teacher once in a while. And then it'll become, as you say, something that you get acquainted with, and then it's your comfort zone. And then your comfort zone grows because you know more.
Exactly. Yeah. Good metaphor. Yeah. I mean, like all these, like I really like these two metaphors, right? Or two associations, right? So this is the fact that instead of running away, you should run into it and expand your comfort zone. So this is like what I always advise my students. And perhaps one more tip that can always, like always mention this at the beginning of a collaboration, is that learning is a very complicated process. And in the process of learning, things can happen that can come as a disappointment to you about yourself because you expect that you can do better at some point, you can do something faster, you can like start making progress like
Earlier.
sooner,
Mhm.
and then it doesn't happen. And this can actually discourage a lot of people and prevent them from making more efforts. So, and like at some point, I came across a really nice suggestion, advice from a psychologist, is that your ability to learn depends on your ability to withstand your own imperfection. So if you're able to realize that, your imperfection doesn't make you a bad person or a bad learner, like vice versa, mistakes like show you, what you have to address on a more thorough level. So this is something that you have to embrace as part of this process and don't consider it to be a drawback. So, and like this advice helped a lot of my students not to give up when they actually, felt rather crappy, let's be
Yes.
honest. So, especially when it comes to beginner levels. And yeah, so I mean, mistakes don't kill us, they make us stronger and then make us better learners as a
Yeah.
result.
And they are our experience. So if we're not afraid of
Mhm.
facing them and accepting them and embracing ourselves with our mistakes, without them, yeah. So yeah, we kind of had a really lovely psychological session with you today. I
Yeah, I mean,
agree with you.
I didn't see it coming.
Well, you should know me better. You see how our ELT community is, how great our ELT community is because
Oh, it is.
have
It is.
lovely people. And thank you so much for all the tips, for sharing this great information and your knowledge and your lovely and warm energy today. I really am sure, actually, not just hoping, but I'm sure that our viewers enjoyed our chat. Please follow, like our video, read for more details from Inna that we will leave in the description box. Leave your questions if you want to hear about something else that is related to English language learning or teaching, and about pronunciation too. And stay with us. Stay tuned till our next videos of the Sound Dialogues project. Thank you so much for watching. And Ina, thank you so much for joining.
Well, thank you for having me. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Bye.